All right, hey everybody, this is a My ETV Media special. We're talking about Iron Man 3 today. We're going to talk about the first two films as well, and maybe some other Disney and Marvel Universe stuff. I am Max Romano. I am here with
Donal O'Connor.
Hammad Fussy.
Christophe Chanel.
All right, so we've all seen the movie. Opinions varied from slightly disappointed to super elated. I personally enjoyed it. I'm going to go through and just ask everybody what they thought of it as, good, bad, in between, just to start. Donal.
I really enjoyed it. It wasn't as good as Avengers, but again, it's not really. It was better than Iron Man 2. It was about equal to Iron Man 1, maybe slightly better than Iron Man 1.
If I was going to rank it going off of that, I would say Iron Man 1 was the best, Iron Man 3 next, and then Iron Man 2 was the worst.
Agree, definitely. Shane Black's put back the franchise back on track. First class. Jaw-dropping actions like his house going down. That was just amazing.
I agree with that. However, I still think, I don't know. I'm one of the people who's more on the negative side of the movie. I enjoyed it, don't get me wrong. The 2 hours that I watched the movie, thought it was great. Afterwards, I was kind of like, I don't know.
So 3 movies in, did you guys expect this to be as good as the first Iron Man film? What was it like going into this?
Well, typically with superhero movies, you got the first movie is good, the second movie is amazing, and the third one is terrible. Like if you look at like X-Men, Spider-Man, stuff like that, it's always the first one's good. That's the way it goes. Iron Man kind of subverted that, and I think I was quite surprised considering the track record of most superhero movies in that sense.
Okay, are you saying you didn't like Venom in Spider-Man 3?
Dude, he was so bad. I thought he was so bad.
I like what they tried to do with Spider-Man 3, but I don't think it worked out all that well. What they tried to do was good, but it didn't come together. There was some thought for graces. Venom was just the worst casting decision.
I think James Franco was probably like the best and worst thing about that movie.
I don't like their decisions they made in that. I don't know how we got into Spider-Man so quick, but I don't like the decisions they made in terms of like why did Green Goblin die? Why does Sandman just get to? At the end of the movie, it's like, yeah, he's been a villain throughout the whole thing. And then right at the end, he's like, I'm a good guy. I'm looking after my daughter. And Peter's like, yeah, okay, see ya. And he just like fades away into the sunset. It's like, what? What about, isn't a superhero supposed to catch the bad guy at the end of the film?
But bringing up Spider-Man 3 makes a lot of sense when you're talking about Iron Man 3. They share a lot of the same problems and advantages. They have a lot of lore that they've already built on.
Yeah.
They have multiple villains they're introducing.
Yeah.
They have this love interest that's already been... Spider-Man 2, they already developed that relationship. Mm-hmm. Iron Man 2, they already developed that relationship. You don't want to see Robert Downey Jr. and Gwyneth Paltrow do anything else because they've gotten as far as things to go. You got the happy ending in Iron Man 2. Now what's next? Did you guys think that was kind of just tacked on?
For what, Iron Man?
Yeah, for Iron Man. The Gwyneth Paltrow relationship.
But I like the fact that she doesn't have too big of a role in the film. And I'll give this to the film. It's very much about Tony Stark versus Iron Man. It's about Tony. Yeah. It's not so much about Iron Man. It's about Tony, his personal conflicts, his battles. I just feel like they didn't do enough of that. Like, we'll save the spoilers for later, but there were some parts of it where I saw it and I was like, I wish you would have just gone a little bit deeper, you know what I mean? They surface level touched on his character and some of his problems as a person, but I don't know, I felt like they should have gone a little bit deeper.
And this is why, and one of the reasons why Iron Man 3 is better than the 2, because there's the human side of Tony.
Yeah, no, I'll give you that.
But did you guys find, because I really just couldn't get my head around this, that with Iron Man 3, and this isn't really much of a spoiler, one of the biggest issues, the big character dilemma that Tony Stark is facing is that he has, PTSD from his experience in the Avengers, and this is one of those crossover elements with that movie. I find that kind of hard to swallow, because even though he's fought all these alien invaders and had this horrible experience, in the past Iron Man films, he's really been in the same level of danger. With human beings and guns and bombs, and it's all the more real and more human, which I found to be scarier than what he came across in the Avengers.
Well, the thing about Tony Stark, especially in the movies, that it's in the comics as well, is that he's very, very grounded in reality. And it's like if you see a guy with a gun, you can deal with that. In the first movie, he's held hostage by terrorists, which is a pretty scary situation. But he was able to think his way out of that by building his first armor. when you're fighting alien invasion from another dimension, that's just on a completely different scale and it's beyond anything he's experienced. Hence him going crazy, building 48 new armors just in case. It's just way out of his. It blows his mind. He's so used to having stuff that he can see and deal with and confront, and just knowing that they're just out there looking at us is something that could easily wipe us off the face of the planet.
So for Iron Man 3, they brought in a new director, Shane Black. Stylistically, he brought something new to the movie. What did you guys think of his personal style?
I loved it. I thought that the reason why Iron Man 3 is doing so well and the critics' reviews are amazing is because Shane did a great job. Yeah.
I'm kind of mixed on it. Like I was entertained, and I thought it had a nice like comedic appeal to it. And correct me if I'm wrong. I believe he helped with the script writing, or he wrote the script, or he's part of that.
I have no idea.
I don't.
He helped write the script for the first movie.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about the second, but he helped write the first one.
No, for the third. Did he help write the third one?
He probably.
Yeah. So going off that, I felt like it was too comedic in nature. Do you know what I mean? Like I loved the comedy. I thought it was great, but there was just some elements of it. I was like, it doesn't need to be that funny. Do you know what I mean? I want it to be more superhero, superhero-esque.
But the movie is so dark. I mean, you got to bring some humor. Just the Mandarin,
Yeah.
the Mandarin itself, it is such a villain, and it's so well done. And there's some twist and that I can't really reveal, but personally, I liked it.
I mean, one of the most difficult things, and I think that it breaks immersion for a lot of people, is balancing the live action footage with a lot of the 3D and CG stuff. Yeah. And honestly, in my opinion, I think it comes down to the director who can do that. What did you guys think of that?
Going back to the director, just for one moment, one of the things I felt like he didn't do properly was he was definitely, like you mentioned, it's a PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. Iron Man, that's clear. Tony is suffering from the effects of the Avengers, but the world around him, it didn't seem like an Avengers world. It didn't seem like a post-Avengers, oh my god, aliens attacked, things are different type of world. It seemed like, yeah, that happened. Tony has some fans. He wants to sign some stuff.
Yeah.
You know, so that's one of the things I feel like that's the director's responsibility, to make sure the world feels like there's a continuity there, and I just didn't feel that.
Honestly, though, I don't think that Shane had any say in that, because when you think about it, I mean, it's a Disney movie, and you have an event like the Manhattan attack in Avengers, and the city gets so like fucked up and destroyed, and it's so much damage, so many people die. If you look at a real world event, you look at like 9/11, people are talking about that, years and years later.
Yeah.
I mean, it will never, people are never going to forget about that. The reason they don't want to show that in Iron Man 3 is because it's a Disney movie, and they don't want a whole bunch of depressing stuff. They want to show you a personal conflict that you can get over, and then, you can be a hero and the day can be saved. They don't want to show you an entire community suffering from a traumatic event, because it's harder to imagine an entire city, an entire country getting over something like that. And it sucks, but that's the reality that a lot of these, especially Marvel, is going to face moving forward.
Well, you could argue that this movie was not about that. I mean, it was about Tony. It could examine all of that, but it decided to focus on Tony himself, his own journey, his own problems with what happened. We didn't really see the perspective of anyone else about what happened beyond there were some kids who did a drawing for him, and there was the other kid, Harley, mentioned it.
Yes, Harley.
But it wasn't. If the movie was going to be, but I mean, it's not about that. It's about how Tony deals with it, not about how the world deals with it. Maybe it's going to come up in other movies. It might come up in. I think the best bet for it to come up outside of Avengers 2 would be Captain America. It's not going to be brought up in Thor because Thor is going to be set mostly in Asgard. So it might come up in other movies, but at the same time, I don't think it ruined immersion for me because it's about Tony, not the rest of the world.
That's a pretty fair point. If I would like to see